Welcome to the MS Dev Show, episode number 107. This week we talk with Matt Heidinger about Action Center in the cloud, 10 great ways to impress a software engineer on their first day, and how to use IoT to find the drill sitting right in front of you.
This episode of the MS Dev Show is brought to you by Infragistics, providing tools and solutions to accelerate design, development, insights, and collaboration for any organization.
This week we have Matt Heidinger. He's a program manager on the Windows notifications team. Welcome, Matt.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I should say welcome back.
Yes. Yeah, I was on a couple months ago now, maybe even 6 months. I don't remember.
Yeah, we need a special award for like repeat visitors.
Oh, that I do need more lanyards to hang on my workboard here, so that'd be cool.
That would be pretty cool. And Carl, are you standing?
Yes, I am standing. A slightly different view here. I think last episode we talked about that I was getting a standing desk from Uplift, and it is actually pretty amazing.
Okay.
Not only do I like the up-down nature of it, motorized, but I have the advanced control, so I can have presets. So I just hit my stand button,
that's nice.
and it goes to my standing setting.
Yeah.
And plus when putting this together, the instructions were super easy. And the parts for this were just really high quality, actual screws and bolts, unlike those really custom weird ones you get with like IKEA or worse knockoffs.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is just a really solid piece of bamboo desk.
Okay.
Nice.
And yeah, this thing is flawless. I'm so glad I got it.
Okay. So make sure you include a link to that in the show notes again.
Will do.
And I'm recording from the old Windows Developer Show, so they're basically their podcast room here, which is awesome because you won't hear my dog barking. So if you hear a dog barking, it's on Carl's end. So I'm almost moved out here, but thank you for Travis for setting up this room and letting me use it. This is really awesome. Although I haven't quite figured everything out, so I'm using 2 mics. Just don't ask. It's it's complicated. Okay, so let's get to it. So who do we have for the Infragistics Ultimate Winner of the Week?
This week, for commenting on our website in the comments section, is Brett Slasky. He commented a few times on the VSTS episode with Donovan Brown.
Okay.
And his first comment was that when he was managing a team, one of his favorite parts is that he wouldn't be tired at all of coding during the day, so he could go home and bust out a few hours of coding afterwards.
Yeah.
And then he had a few questions about how to get, like, when in VSTS, when you have a build in GitHub, you can show the badges of when it's complete. He wanted to know if that was possible in VSTS as well. So I threw that out to Donovan Brown, and he immediately got back with a screenshot showing how to do it.
Yeah, it's just a checkbox, badge enabled.
Yep.
Okay, well, that's easy enough. Thank you, Donovan.
So if you want to get mentioned on the show like Brett, send us an email to feedback@msdevshow.com. Comment on Facebook, YouTube, or Stitcher. We especially love those 5-star iTunes reviews. And if you've won in the past and I did not get your email address, send it on to us. We need that email address to get you guys your licenses.
Yep, absolutely. And I should also apologize because the runner-ups for the swag bag, I have not shipped your gifts yet. So that's totally my fault. I'm in the middle of a move. You will get them. Just hang on tight. And actually, that one guy's from Redmond, so maybe I'll just track him down and give him a whole bunch of stuff. He can get more because I don't have to ship it. Okay, so let's jump into the news. So what do we got here? Bing says 25% of all searches are voice searches. Is that true?
Well, this is the thing that I think a lot of us forget. Obviously, Cortana is powered by Siri, so anytime you use a Windows phone or the Windows desktop, Cortana uses that. But in addition, Siri and Alexa use Bing as well. So when you do a voice search, they're hitting Bing as well.
I gotcha.
So, a lot of times, people forget that Bing powers so many other things. They just think, hey, I'm going to use Google or Bing for our text searches, but it's so much more than that.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally questioned the number until you explained it. So thank you for doing that. That makes sense. Okay, goodbye project.json. This one is sad.
Yeah.
I like it.
All right, can you explain a little bit to us, Matt? Because I know you work a little bit more closely with
ASP.NET, but that's where my that's where I cut my teeth on .NET. So I it's very near and dear to me. So as far as I can tell, and this is my speculation, I'm not on that team, right? So I have the same info as everyone else. The project JSON was very akin to what modern development is like on other web stacks. They have your project JSON that defines, your dependencies and your packages, and very node oriented, very NPM, for package management to bring stuff in. And it's a lightweight file that, you can just edit, and then you run a lot of command line tools to restore your package and do the builds. To help developers, I think, get more accustomed. So if you have a node background or just a different framework background and you move to ASP.NET, I think they wanted to make it a little easier and more familiar and a little more modern, the way you develop it. Unfortunately, we have this legacy, right, where we have CS proj files, we have VB proj, and we have these project files, which does a lot of those same things. It determines your packages, your dependencies, your references. It goes back forever, right? MS Build has existed forever. So there's this kind of dichotomy between the two. And really, I think it was, how far can we go to make it familiar for Node developers without making it super foreign to existing ASP.NET developers? And I think they also had technical debt in that there was just two tool chains going on. You had MS Build doing the proj stuff, and you had the project JSON. So I personally like the direction they're heading in the tooling. They're getting closer to move things back into the project.json, or sorry, into the CS proj. But they're taking the good stuff out of the project JSON, which was that, an annoying thing in web development on a lot of their stacks, there's no project file. It's just your folder. It's whatever's in your folder is part of your project. And they want to take some of that. So the CS proj will have a way to include items versus, be inclusive, and then you exclude manually versus, the way it's done now, where every single item has to be
because that was the feature that was sort of represented in project.json for me. So as long as we have that, then I'm cool, because the XML for doing merging and things like that, it was just it just drove me crazy.
It's the merging that was the issue.
And I would in it. What's funny is half of developers be like, I never had issues merging. It's like, well, you're probably not actually merging it. Because it's a real problem. Like, merging systems don't know how to merge the XML properly. They don't understand it.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard a bunch of people suggest workarounds, even if Visual Studio would just randomize where it added items instead of always putting them at the bottom. Because then if two people add new files, that's where you get the merges, right? Yeah. Like, you add a new file, it goes on the bottom, then I add one, and the merge doesn't know that these are two completely different things. If it put them in random order, it might make merging a little easier, but that's just kind of a hack, right? So So the cool thing is they're saying MS Build is our technology. MS Build is open source, which is nice. It's on GitHub. They're going to take a lot of the good stuff about Project JSON and keep it in the existing project structure, which I think is the way to go, just to keep it, we need one way to configure our applications.
Okay. Yeah, and I spoke to Scott Hunter yesterday, and he mentioned something similar, that there's a huge investment already in MS Build, and for them to sort of reinvent that in the project.json, I think was going to be too daunting.
That would make sense to me.
I mean, they get a ton of stuff for free by using MS Build. So you talked me down. I'm feeling
all right.
As long as I can do the whole exclusions versus inclusions, then I am happy, because it always seems silly to have a file in the file system, and then also in the project it's like, there's a file in the file system.
Yeah, exactly. So, they haven't announced how they're going to solve it, but I think they did say they'll have that figured out before RTM of the tooling.
Okay.
So the platform is going to RTM first,
right,
and then the tooling is going to come after that, so that people can at least deploy their apps and kind of do the quirks of the tooling. So I think that was also a good call on their part.
Okay. Well, very, very cool. Okay, so I'm good with it now.
All right.
I'm sure
I'm done then.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Introducing unlimited private repositories. Okay, so this was GitHub announcing this. So this is pretty cool. So the pricing, personal $7 a month, organization $9 per user per month. Do you know what the old pricing was, Carl? I know that it was pretty cost prohibitive.
Yeah, I do not know, because I went with a free alternative. I use Bitbucket for my private repositories, and I use GitHub for all my public ones. So I kind of wasn't with this, but for people who do have private ones, this was a significant cost reduction for the personal accounts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I had the micro, which I think was $5.99, and it gave me 5 repositories, 5 private.
Yeah.
So what I did to work around it, which I'm now, I got that email that unlimited private repositories. It was awesome. That was like such a cool thing. I put all of my projects in one repository with sub-repositories. So I literally had one repository called personal projects, and then I had sub-repositories for each individual project. And it was kind of a pain, but I'm going to undo all that and separate them out now. It's going to be pretty fun.
Yeah. See, when I had looked at it, yeah, you're right. It was like $5.99 for 5 repos. I looked at it, I'm like, no, because I just don't want to have to worry about any kind of limit.
Yeah, no, exactly.
And what's amazing is they're going to get an extra $1 out of you every month, but I think you probably think it's worth it, right?
Oh, I absolutely do.
Yeah.
Like I'm spread across everything, right? I was an MVP before, so I had MSDN for free, and then now I have MSDN. So, I get VSTS or VSO, what it's called. Yeah. So we have unlimited private repositories there. I have a couple there. I have a couple in Bitbucket, like Carl, and it's going to be really nice to consolidate all those just for my own sanity.
Yeah, VSTS has really matured now, and I guess I would suggest people take a look at that as well, because that is a great option. And we had Donovan Brown on, and we were talking about the build system, and it is really awesome now. I mean,
the build system's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of years ago it was not good. Now it's good.
Yep. So yeah, I've been checking out the build system stuff. I love that. This new world that we're in is so it's so anti lock-in. Like everything we do, the VSTS, they'll pull from a VSO repository you have locally. They'll pull right from your GitHub repository to do the build. With webhooks, they can do all that. So yeah, I'm going to move completely to VSTS for my continuous integration and my source in GitHub. And I'm thinking it'll be a nice setup.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, Nest opens the networking code for its smart home devices. What was this about, Carl?
So Nest has had a private way that it's called its thread network.
Okay.
And the protocol, and what that's allowed them to do is that's how they communicate. That's their standard, and they have private companies. I think there's like 30 different companies that have integrated with that. But what they're doing is they're open sourcing a version of that called OpenThread, and that's going to allow anybody to talk on that protocol. And really, what that's kind of Google's hoping to be, because Google owns Nest, is that that's going to be kind of an IoT standard for communication.
Okay. I'm gonna have to look into this, because I'm curious at what level they're operating.
Yeah, and I know there's a lot of people interested in IoT. So while I don't know a whole lot about this, the details of this right now, this gives a lot of people, another thing to look into in that area, because it's still pretty much up for grabs.
Yeah. So, I recently just bought a new house. We're not moved in yet, but I'm guessing there's some crappy thermostat in there, and I'm going to have to put something good in. And honestly, Nest is like super expensive. So it's going to be something like this that's going to put me over the edge. So I'm going to have to dive into this, because I want to understand, like I said, what level they're operating at. If they give you nice API for understanding information off of there, and what else this will interface in with. Because I know people, other IoT systems have pretty good Nest support, which really helps them.
The thing about I haven't jumped into Nest. I did actually recently buy Smart Lock. I went with the Kivo one.
Okay.
That was, I really liked that purchase. And it's cool because it's a standard Kivo lock, so it does have an analog, just key if you need. But the thing that's just so annoying with all these smart things is I've got my Philips Hue, I've got my Kivo system. You have these things, and every one of them needs these little hubs that you plug into your router. They all, and it's like there's this proliferation of all these little things, and I'm hoping someone gets to that as well. So the APIs obviously need to be, standardized, and you have all these little things that are plugged like directly into your router, and it's just,
Yeah, we've talked about this on the show before. Like, it's just a big battleground. Everybody's trying to own it.
Mm-hmm.
And we really should promote, and I guess this is sort of self-serving, but we should really promote the companies that are not trying to do that. So Microsoft is one of the ones where we're just saying, hey, we don't care what this, we really don't care what the standards are. We want to support everything, and we want everybody to get along, because it helps everybody.
Yeah.
And these companies that do have the one-offs like that, I mean, they're not really helping anybody. Plus, I'm working on a new blog post I'm not really ready to talk about yet, but these companies that like this Kevo, I don't know much about them, but I have a feeling that they are simply not equipped to build a secure product.
Well, Kevo is an interesting one. Kevo's by Kwikset, who's been making locks for like hundreds of years. So it'll be secure in the physical sense.
Yeah.
But in the technology sense, who knows? But then you have the opposite where you have these technology companies, building a physical lock, and you wonder like so I don't know.
Yeah. I would be curious what kind of foundation they built their digital security on.
Right.
And if they built it in-house, that's pretty terrifying to me.
Yeah, I don't think they did, because when I go download the app, it's by a vendor.
Okay.
So
we'll have to look into that one.
Yeah. At first it was weird because I'm like, is this even the app?
Yeah. So Carl, I'll have to send you the picture. I tweeted this. I was at Lowe's last night, and did you see this? I tweeted a picture. They have an IoT drill.
Oh yes, I saw that.
I just stopped dead and I just don't get it. So first of all, it's for some of the features that they were advertising were the ability to find your tools using your smartphone. So I think you could like make your drill beep from your smartphone. Never needed that. Okay, maybe there's somebody out there.
No,
let us
super
know.
Forgetful. Stick a tile on it or whatever those things are that like they find anything.
Yeah, exactly. So that was interesting. Plus the batteries on all of their tools, I don't remember the brand, had a USB port on them so that you could charge your phone. I am not making this up.
Jeez.
So I'm trying to think of like who this person is, right? So they're like doing some homework, they're like drilling, they're installing a new door. So they're drilling some holes in the wall or whatever. And they're like, shoot, my phone's almost dead. I must now charge from my drill battery. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Well, there's like so many things in the picture that you put off. It also had like a stereotypical woman with gloves and like nerd glasses. So I was like,
oh, nice.
It's IoT
and the
drill.
And she's not very smart because the drill's sitting in front of her and she's using the phone to find it. So
when you just said stereotypical, I thought you were going to stop at stereo. And I was like, oh, it's got like a headphone jack. So like I can put my music on my drill and then just drill while I'm listening to my music.
Oh man, I'm just imagining hipsters now with like the drill like in a holster and like the headphones plugged into it.
Dude. Yeah, I don't know which part. I don't know where you moved in around here, but if it was around Capitol Hill, we might see something like that.
Yeah, I only listen, on my Beats headphones,
yes,
with my drill.
That's awesome.
Oh man. Okay. Let's see here. Stack Overkill language rating. So I did say that right. It's not Stack Overflow. It's Stack Overkill. So explain this to me. Is this just showing the number of questions asked in each language?
That's what I'm getting. Yes.
Okay.
At least for that time frame, for that month or whatever that is, because it does show some of them going down as well. So it's not overall.
Yeah. So now I'm colorblind, so the colors are not helpful to me at all. And I actually heard many people complaining about it. But the ranking, if you hover over it, it shows JavaScript has the big lead. Then there's Java, then C#. And it kind of shows language popularity over time. So I don't know if there's anything interesting you gleaned out of this, Carl.
So the biggest thing that I find interesting is when you compare this to like the TIOBE numbers, because that one like shows like Java is like used like
right.
It's got like 25 or 30% usage, and like everything else is like max like 10 or 12%.
Yeah.
Is TIOBE based on like search engines for the most part, or
I don't remember what it was.
I thought it used to be. It was like the amount of queries that are happening over this topic.
Which none of these metrics are really that useful. I mean, other than maybe sort of, the fact that they're different, it tells us something interesting. I mean, does this mean that, since there's more questions on JavaScript, does that just mean that
it's harder?
It's harder. People are confused. I don't know. I mean, Java has been around longer than JavaScript. And so it's typically used in like enterprise scenarios. So maybe they just, they don't need that resource as much. Maybe they have books. I don't know. I'm not sure what to get out of this.
No, but there's a couple other things other than the difference from there is like when you look at some of the hipster languages really, and, I consider like Go, one of those hipster languages, and you see that's pretty much just flatline and really not going anywhere. So while I hear a lot about that, like on the Twitter sphere and other places, it's not really, being used on Stack Overflow or questions being asked. But the other thing that's interesting is just seeing how Swift has moved up the charts and Objective-C is starting to drop.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the iOS land of development, you can see that's definitely being a huge uptick. It looks like it's being used pretty popularly.
So you can also, on the left, you can actually look at like JavaScript frameworks and a couple other things. But I noticed the thing that they do is they change the scale on the charts. So you really can't get into it. Like if I go to Ionic, it's this like sharp increase, but the numbers are still like an order of magnitude lower than Angular. So I'm not quite sure if that chart is that useful to me.
It's really useful for just comparing whatever's on the chart at that point.
So we'll just leave this as an exercise to the listeners to go out there and figure out what kind of useful insights you can get out of that. Okay, 10 great ways to impress a software engineer on their first day.
So, the thing that I thought was kind of interesting about this is, comparing it to experiences that I've had. I don't know if you remember, Jason, but when you hired me many, many years ago, when I showed up to work that day, I had a laptop, an iPad, an iPhone already provisioned and ready to go with the dev equipment there.
Yeah.
And that was huge. It made quite an impression on me. And that's the first recommendation right there. Have that stuff ready to go. Have documentation on how to get going. That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And even down to the end where invite them out to lunch. I mean, They're not going to know people. If they're an introvert, they're really not going to reach out like, hey, can I go to lunch with you? So, I mean, there's a lot of little things that you can do that don't take a whole lot of time that can really make that transition easy for a person on their first day of work.
Yeah, and I'm always a strong believer in that, a manager is actually there for the people that report to them. So, like I have an intern that's actually starting on Monday. And I'm actually going to be out on Monday, so that'll be a great experience. So, I'm setting some people up to help him, but I knew he was going to be in town he's getting into town this evening. So I said, hey, let me take you out to dinner. So at least I can, welcome him. And I gave him my cell phone number. I'm like, call me anytime. You gotta remove friction from this. Because you definitely want them to have a good first impression. And, it's like, stressful situations lower productivity, so just make them feel at home.
Infragistics Ultimate UX and UI tools and enterprise mobility solutions, SharePlus and Report Plus, enable high-performance apps on any device, faster data insights, simplified collaboration, and market-leading security, all backed by comprehensive support. With Infragistics Ultimate UX and UI Development Toolkit, you can ensure mission-critical applications delivering a superior user experience on the desktop, web, and native device environments for iOS and Android. With the latest BI tools, wow your users with dashboards providing the data insights that they need when and where they need it, all at a low total cost of ownership. Try it today. Download a free trial at Infragistics.com and follow them for the latest updates in UX and UI development, reporting, and collaboration at Infragistics on Twitter. And remember, each week, if we pick your comment on the show, you will get a free copy of Infragistics Ultimate UX and UI Toolset. I think we should move on.
Okay, well, let's get to the good stuff. So, let's talk about Action Center in the cloud. So I guess first we should define what it is, and for me, we saw this demo at Build, which was really cool, being able to synchronize notifications across devices, which I am super, super, super excited for. Let's just back up. What is Action Center in the cloud?
Yeah, so Action Center in the cloud was, a big internal thing. Obviously us at Microsoft, and I've been at Windows for almost 3 years now when I joined on Windows Phone. And the obvious question that was, it's not like this is a new idea or even a super unique idea. It's like, well, I'm getting all this email. I'm getting the same email on both my devices, and I have to swipe it away here and you swipe it away there. And I don't think anyone has been super impressed by the notification space in the industry. I think, Notifications have gotten richer. Like with Windows 10, we've announced with the new update, the anniversary update, that Toast can be very visual. We have up to 5 actions. You can send a lot of Toast, but that doesn't always help you when you have all these devices. A thing we like to talk about on our team is you add another device that a lot of times adds more complication to your life or complexity to your life than necessarily like simplifies it. So this was a step we wanted to take such that you see a notification once and that's it. And you either act on it or you don't. Mm-hmm. And by notification, we use that term generally, like I'm really saying a message, some piece of information you got. So when we set out to build Action Center in the cloud and tackle that, we set a couple stakes in the ground. One was that it had to be cross-platform, so that if you have a PC user, a big effort for this release was to make the Action Center really great. So with the anniversary update, notifications are a ton better. Cortana's surfacing a ton of stuff in there, including Action Center in the cloud. So the whole scenario is, though, you get a notification on your phone, we will forward it to your PC. This whole scenario is your mobile device, your more connected device, which typically gets more notifications.
Yep. Sending
things to your PC because that's your more powerful device. If you're sitting in it, I personally, have my phone docked on the wireless charger. I see the little blue light blinking, and I can act on my PC easier and quicker and triage these things. So we have full quick reply. So if the Toast had a quick reply, you can take actions on it. Obviously informational ones. But the key thing is, once I swipe it away, because I'm done with it, it disappears from the originating device. So that takes place on Windows Phone and Android. We can't do iOS yet because we don't have access to their notification APIs. So that's
I'm in shock.
Yeah, right.
Apple wouldn't do that.
We've tried a couple things to work around it because obviously their smart accessories work. Like their one accessory. Obviously shows notifications. It goes over Bluetooth to do that, and those are strictly Bluetooth APIs. So we're trying to maybe find some creative ways to get around this. But yeah, for right now, it's Android and Windows Phone, and your Windows 10 PC running the anniversary update. The demo we showed at Build, I don't know if you guys plan on, linking to that. People can see it in action. But, it's nice. You get the full fidelity of that notification on your PC, incredibly rich stuff, and you can just act on it once versus a bunch of times.
Yeah, because the user is what's important in the notification. It's not the notification that's important.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, so just spamming it everywhere is just a horrible way of doing it. I mean, imagine if, you had a smart home and every device, your microwave, your refrigerator, all of those were blinking.
That's the world we're heading to.
Yeah, I know. And you just walk around and you swipe everything. So is this, you mentioned, Bluetooth for a specialized scenario. So is this always using basically an internet connection to do the synchronization?
Yes, for right now. So the technology is built on this thing we're building to try and help this whole get a message to a user, build out a user's graph. We have this service called the Activity Feed service, and that is the whole concept is I'm sending a notification to a user, and right now that user is organized by their MSA, their Microsoft account. Mm-hmm. And that's how this feature is automatically connected. So when you get the new update, and by the way, I should add, so on Android, the experience powering it is the Cortana app. So you would install the Cortana app on your Android phone, turn on notification mirroring, and then it would just show up on your PC.
Oh, okay.
Because you've logged in with the same MSA.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that. How you actually get it. That makes sense.
Yep. So Cortana will take care of sending the notifications to your PC. So that's kind of the breadth of it. We have some nice things for app developers, such that, take Viber, for example. Viber has a Windows app that not a lot of people know exists. But they have it on their Windows phone or even their Android phone. And when we mirror a notification to your PC, say it came, let's use Android in this case, we know that app is in the store. So we actually add a get in store link on the Toast to help users that are on a PC, hey, this app is actually on your PC if you want to make that easier. So
that's cool.
So developers get some help there in discovery, in their PC apps.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And I think that's really huge for developers, especially for those that have it on both phone and PC. That's just a way to get people on a different platform than might not otherwise.
Yeah, exactly.
So is there anything special I as a dev have to do with this feature at all? It sounds like you guys have pretty much done everything for us.
Yeah, so there's a couple of ways I can pivot on this. So the Action Center in the Cloud feature is a user feature, an end user feature, and it is on by default. You have the option to mute notifications. So let's say you have the Facebook app on your phone and the Facebook app on your PC. You don't want to see that native Facebook notification and the mirrored one at the same time, right? That would be redundant. You want the native one to win. So you can mute notifications you don't care about. You just right click on them and say, turn off notifications for this mobile app. And that basically silences it. So you won't see those. But as a dev, you have a couple things. And one is actually a pivot on this feature. It's a whole new feature. But the first thing on Action Center in the Cloud is to disable it. And you can disable it at 3 levels. The app can disable it, mirroring, by setting a global flag, just a simple property in their app. And you can also disable mirroring on a per notification basis. So say you're, an example that you might want to do that is if you're a banking app and you don't think this information should be roamed, you can turn it off. That's just, we need to have that. But let's say like mail, for example. Your typical mail, you probably want those to mirror. That's nice, if you have a device without a mail client. But you might get a toast that says, "Hey, your credentials are out of date." That one's really for that device. It doesn't necessarily make sense to roam that. So on the toast itself, you can say, "Hey, on this individual notification, don't mirror this." So there's some toggles that developers have to control the experience, but by default, it's just on by default.
Very cool. So what is a chaseable notification?
So a chaseable, when you talk about chaseable tiles, chaseable is the term we use to deep link into something.
Oh, okay.
So, when you chase a toast, what we're saying, usually go into like that message or that email, whatever it was. We added that feature in RS1, in the upcoming
anniversary update.
Codename leak in the anniversary update, where you can do the same thing on your live tile. So this has been a scenario we've had forever where, you see a story in the news app, for example, it flips through and you want to be able to see what's on that tile. You want to chase into that content. So now developers can do that by simply adding an arguments. It's very similar to the way you send a toast notification. You just add some arguments to the XML payload, to the payload. And then you add that to your tile, and then when your app is activated, you can extract those arguments and build whatever experience you want. For example, forward navigate. A lot of apps might, like the Photos app, for example. They're showing
a specific.
They're showing like 9 different photos, for example. Yeah. They may not want to forward navigate you, but they may want to have a section in their app called "As Seen on Tile" or something where you can show a grid of your tile one, so they can build the experience they want, but they get up to the date information of what the user has actually seen on the live tile, which is pretty nice.
Cool.
Yeah. So we hope that'll make chaseable tiles a little better.
Mm-hmm.
So, once again, going back to the dev aspect, what kind of information do I get as a developer to respond to these contextual app launches?
You basically get what you get out what you put in. So when you send a notification, you have this arguments property, and it's a string. A lot of people, if you have a complicated string, you serialize it to JSON. And then when you get it out, you literally just read that arguments property. So, it's usually like the article ID or some page within your app, that whatever you need to get out of that notification. Because a lot of times, the reason this is kind of important is because a lot of people send these notifications directly from their server. Right. So the notification is crafted, the live tile is crafted on the server, and it's sending down these stories, but the client, the Windows app, doesn't necessarily have access to that. So you get the app launch, you can pull out what the server had sent in that arguments and then do the right thing. So it's really just a string.
Okay.
Yeah. You get a list of the last 5, rather, more specifically. So if you turn on the queue where the tile is flipping between things, you get access to all 5 of those.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if I get a notification that has a payload with it,
yep.
How can I keep the live tile up to date? I don't know if that makes sense. I don't really understand the question. So, did I ask that right, Carl?
Okay, so
I think I might sort of understand what you're asking.
Yeah, so if you have a live tile and a notification comes in that kind of invalidates that information on there, how do I keep those two pieces of information in sync?
I gotcha.
Well, so a couple, we have a concept of tagging. So effectively with tiles and toasts, you can tag notifications with some piece of data, and then you can replace that tag. You can use that tag to basically, it's almost like an ID almost. But you would usually use tags to associate those things together. One of the things I showed at Build was this, which is nice because it works on everywhere. In our notifications extensions library, which is just a set of helpers, I shipped this thing called Notification Mate, which helps developers easily, a super common scenario, right? You have a couple toast notifications in Action Center, and you want to have a live tile with that same thing, and also, the badge count, that little number on your tile. If I have 3 things in my Action Center, I would like a nice 3 on my live tile, so I can see that and the things in there. We wanted to solve that, a way of associating your tile and your toasts. And if you check out that notifications extensions library, it's currently in a branch right now because we're still testing it. One line of code, you say notification mate sync tile with Action Center, and we will automatically keep your live tile in sync with your toast notifications. So as a developer, all you ever have to send is toasts. The live tile, the badge count will automatically be kept in sync. That I think is a huge step forward for helping developers do what was previously a very manual task, using things I just mentioned like tags and stuff. So
and not only that, but I think the other thing that's really cool is you could get a notification right after like a live tile updated, and this will keep it in sync in very close sync very closely in time.
Yeah,
instead of having to wait that half hour or whatever that time is set for your next update.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. We think it's typically within under a second the things are in sync. You swipe away the toast notifications. We also automatically update the badge. If you swipe away one, we'll decrement it. If you swipe away all of them, we turn it to 0. So your tile is literally an exact representation of what happens to be in Action Center, all for one line of code.
That's awesome. So, is there anything else new with like the notifications? I think you showed off something else in Action Center about how to display new things in there's 2 really cool things that we're really excited to announce with notifications. One is an API very near and dear to me because I have been experimenting with Android a lot more, and it's a super flexible operating system. I think everyone obviously knows that. One of the pieces that they have is this thing called the notification listener service, and it lets any app read and manage your notifications. It's typically how Android Wear is built, but you can do a whole bunch of other things. In fact, that's how Cortana on Android sends your notifications to your PC.
I was going to ask too, like, does the band get them through that as well?
Not today. So we used to have a mobile only API. So it only worked on Windows Phone.
Yeah.
That would let you access notifications.
I was thinking on Android.
Oh, on Android, yes.
Okay.
Yes, that is exactly how they do it. Yep.
Perfect.
And so on Windows now, we have the same feature. So any app can declare a capability called the user notification listener, and they can do they can add services to your notifications. One of the demos I showed at my Build talk was this app called Hue and Me. And I added people to my inner circle. So I added my boss, and this is actually, if I had it running right now, I could move my camera over to it. So anytime he emails me or WhatsApps me or text messages me, whatever, anytime a notification contains his name, Thomas Fennell, a big bright hue light behind my monitor pulses. So, it's like a kind of silly example, but it's.
You should set up like an automated rule to do that like every 5 minutes just to mess with you.
Yeah. But, it's nice. So the light blinks, and then as soon as you dismiss the notification, it stops. And that's all built on this notification listener. So we think people can do some kind of compelling things with this API. It's the thing I fought really hard on is it's a public capability. You don't need to email the store and ask for permission. The user obviously gets prompted like, hey, this app is requesting access to your notifications. The other cool thing, completely unrelated, is a scenario we're really excited about, like take Facebook for example, who has a Windows Phone app, an Android app, and a Windows PC app. So they pop notifications, right? Someone, Carl liked your photo. I get 3 notifications, right? My Windows Phone, my Android, my PC. Facebook, I'm using them as an example. I'm not picking them for any reason other than it's everyone understands it. They're not going to use mirroring, right? The new feature we just built, where if you dismiss it once, it dismisses everywhere because they're on everything, right? Facebook's typically on everything, so they have their own infrastructure. What we can do that's similar to mirroring is you can tag your notifications with this remote ID. It's basically an ID that is shared across all these things. So you have your native app on Windows, your native app on Windows Phone, and your native app on Android. You can put an extra piece of data in there. When you swipe one away, using that same activity feed service we have, because we know your device graph, we will dismiss that notification for you. So you read it once, dismiss it, and they all go away, even though they're 3 completely separate native notifications.
Oh, that's awesome.
So all a developer has to do is add that single field in the Toast notification object called the remote ID. And then, it's great for scenarios
so you
where
sort of coalesce them and remove them.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what we do. So it's a great facility if you have an app experience on the PC and a mobile phone, and you want your users to only have to see a notification once.
That's awesome.
That's, I think, all of it. It's been a little bit of a bit of a busy year, but
no,
it's all coming out. It's all coming out very soon too. The mirroring, the notification mirroring, and all that stuff should be hitting insiders pretty shortly. So we're hoping to get some back from people.
But like the big bunch of functionality then is going to be the anniversary update coming in. It's like middle of the year, so I don't know what the.
Yeah, it'll all be officially released in the anniversary update, but we are flighting it to insiders before then.
Yeah.
So if you're on the Fast Ring Insider, you will get access to some of this stuff as it comes out. We'll be doing blog posts on our team to highlight some of the features, get people testing out the listener, and getting some feedback.
Very cool, man. This plus Bash, it's just
oh
so
man,
incredible.
Bash has been fun for me. I am loving the Bash stuff. I just redid my whole blog on just Jekyll and GitHub because I wanted to play with I just wanted to play with Bash.
Yeah. Oh man, that is so cool.
Yeah.
And one thing I have to congratulate you and your team on in particular is how awesome your build announcements are year to year. I mean, it's always amazing how all of the press is assembled for your speech and year. So you guys do a really good job. We're gonna have links in the show notes to their presentations that they did at Build this year.
Carl keeps vanishing.
Oh, okay. I thought that was just me.
No, it's Carl.
Well,
Carl, you keep disappearing every few seconds, and you turned all Cylani there. So.
Well, basically, I was just mentioning how awesome you guys do at Build every year.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it. We definitely spend a significant chunk of our time prepping on that, and I'm glad to hear that it seems to show.
Yeah. Was there anything else that we didn't cover? You can think of? Did we cover everything you wanted to cover, Matt?
For me, yeah, I think so. Yeah, we have a ton of stuff and notifications. Excited for people to check it out.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
figure out how to hack it into iPhone as well. That'll be cool.
I know. We're on it. We are on it.
Yeah. Actually, one thing I did want to mention, Paul Thurrott actually had a blog post talking about that. He said if you're a Windows user and you're, trying to figure out what kind of smartphone you want and you're not going the Windows Phone route, he said Android is your best bet because of this feature.
Yeah, I saw that article. That was cool to see. I personally, I have hacker tendencies and I'm a kind of lifelong fidgeter, so I prefer Android. But it certainly lets us enable some cool scenarios, especially if interop and you're embracing this new world where things interop. We were just talking about VSTS connecting to GitHub source, that seems to be the way of the world. Apple has gotten the memo less, I think, than everyone else. So that's personally why I'm leaning Android.
No, it's a good strategy, and I sort of have to drill into people's heads. I mean, I had a couple partner meetings over the past couple days, and we had people from different product teams. They were talking about unreleased products, and and there were two instances where the partner slash customer said, how are you guys going to make money on this? Because there doesn't appear to be any way to actually make money on it. And the reality is, like, it doesn't have to be like this direct thing where you say, I have product X, please buy product X from me. It is about being open and having things work together well. And it seems like everything else just falls in a line after that. So the notifications, just having this stuff work well, gets you more followers. People will be happier and they'll buy into the ecosystem, and that's the way that the world works these days. So
definitely seems like it's going that way.
Okay, so we have no picks of the week apparently. I see nothing in the notes, and I have horrible news, and we're gonna get a whole bunch of hate mail. But the question of the week game, I have it's in a totally different state. It's across the country. So I don't know. Maybe I should have like searched the internet. Maybe there's like some questions out there. Let me search for like difficult question, and then we'll ask Matt whatever shows up first. Here we go. 54 difficult questions. Wow, these are these are really crazy. Why does music written in a minor key sound sad or downbeat, while music in a major key sounds happy or upbeat?
Wow, I got nothing.
Okay, this is just a horrible week for the question, so I apologize to all of our listeners. We'll pretend like that just didn't happen. Okay, Matt, so where can people find you?
So you can find me on Twitter at Matt Heidinger. I always like to spell it out, I guess. It's the word hiding with an ER. I have a fresh new website at mattheidinger.com that I finally, made my blog responsive. It took forever. So yeah, Twitter and the web, and I'll be around there.
Okay. While I'm viewing the site, do notifications pop up?
They will. No, they won't.
That'd be pretty cool. And Carl, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Carl Schweitzer.
Okay. And you can find me at ytechie.com or on Twitter at twitter.com/ytechie. So Matt, thank you so much for coming on here and talking about this. This is such a cool feature that I'm really looking forward to.
Cool. Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys having me on.